support the act of LGBTQ.
I genuinely do not understand what the point is in sharing the story of Lut as a counter-argument against supporting the queer community. By saying that we support LGBTQ individuals, we are not saying that Islam itself accepts the very action of homosexuality. We know it is a sin in Islam. No one is contesting that. However, in Islam, we're also obligated to follow the laws of the country that we live in. And what that means is that our rights to practice, to be Muslim, is bound up with the rights of others to also freely express themselves safely. It's time that we move past this very simplistic way of talking about homosexuality, and instead we should start looking forward and talking about productive ways of how we can show up as allies. Not only is this a form of da'wah, but it is also an obligation upon the ummah to care for one another, because your brothers, sisters, and siblings are also struggling.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, okay, see, this kind of thought is what makes things so dangerous from Muslims. And of course, the editing, probably the reach is so good. And of course, it is demand supply. So he's saying things that the society wants to hear, right? You're basically flowing and moving with the flow, including the Muslim liberal community, which is increasing now. All right, the first point that he's making is about using the story of Lut alayhi salam. Then he connects it to how Muslims have to obey Allah. Okay, first point, you have to understand, no law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be invalidated or put off by any man-made law. That's first point. Second point is, remember the story of Lut alayhi salam. Lut was a minority in his community. He was not in a Sharia state or some kind of Islamic state as his caption tries to, connect to and say, oh, we're not in a Sharia state or a Muslim state. Lut was a minority. His people were all pretty much gay, and even his wife and maybe others were supporting it, or at least being kind of like silent about it. Just, going with the flow, like this brother. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide him. So he was a minority. Why was he still fighting? Because halal does not become haram and haram does not become halal. Or even in the sense of hikmah, you do not compromise your position. You can be careful with what you do, no doubt. I agree in that. And I always, preach for care, but not to come out there and preach and try to tell people that, no, we have to work together and no, we don't. The third point with the law, this brother seems to forget, or maybe doesn't know, that in the West, the outcome, the laws that are right now are outcomes of a struggle between liberal and conservative, between left and right. Go look at some history, man. You think that the law is just like that? Because if you and other non-Muslims who hold the same beliefs, Judeo-Christian, Muslim tradition, let's say, that homosexuality is wrong and it will never change, if they push at the law, at the level of legislation, well, trust me, you're not going to have to talk like, oh yeah, we have to just, we can't be talking like this. We have to work together. Islam tells you to care about your people and to obey the law. It's not about disobeying the law. No one's telling you to disobey law. No one's telling you to go and punch some homosexual in the face. That's not what we're telling you. We're telling you is to basically intellectually fight and keep maintaining this is wrong, to teach your children that this is wrong, to not allow them to interfere and to enter and to infiltrate into the curriculum at the age of 6, 7, or even younger. The systematic, homosexualization of children. Simple, man. Why are we losing our reason, our rationale, just because of, very attractive propaganda and modern TikTok, Instagram accounts that are, well, yeah, it makes sense what he's saying. It's so easy to do it. I mean, might as well just go with the flow. This makes sense. Okay, someone's justified it for me. Oh, okay, I'll take the easy way out. As opposed to fighting at an intellectual level, legislative level, join hands and forces with those who share our beliefs to ensure a clear future for our children. I have a question for this brother. What guarantee do you have that after seeing this video, many people are not going to just relax their stance on this? Maybe your children, man, are going to be, not because they're just going to be boring gay or something. No, because of propaganda that you're allowing to spread by such videos. You might think that it's just an innocent video. I'm just trying to make peace. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. When they say, don't make fasad on the earth, they say, we're just peacemaker, man. Look at the story. The Quran is not just a book to be like, it's not the time now, and we have to understand. So let's take just this objective of the Sharia, like we have to obey the law. No one says you don't have to obey the law, but the Sharia also says that you cannot be homosexual and you cannot accept homosexuality. Does not mean you have to go punch homosexuals around or do anything wrong. No, that's a different story. But we have to continue with our propaganda and our dawah that this is wrong, so that people have a fair chance to decide, because right now they're being basically brainwashed. How you infiltrate the curriculum, man? Legislation. So you're not even, forget about, and just for the sake of argument, this is not, don't agree with this, but everyone is free to choose. There's no freedom of choice when you are indoctrinating a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid. Okay, I deal with homosexuals, at least 40 to 50% of my cases sometimes on a weekly basis as a counselor are homosexuals. But these are people who are not just saying, well, it's all good. No, they love Allah. They want to stop this. They don't want to feel like this. They want to try to live good Muslims' life and to control their desires. As opposed to, just embrace everyone. You are giving, it's haram. Yeah, we agree it's haram, but this is what the fiqh of the modern day 21st century Muslim, and I blame a lot of this. Sorry, I'm not gonna name, but I blame some of the leaders, community leaders, imams, and so on in the West. Now you see what you've done. Now you see the fruits of some of the lectures and some of the posts where you took it so easy on this issue. Because now people are more popular than you, have a better reach than you, have better social media coverage, and they'll get more popularity because you're still considered, in the end, an extreme to them, no matter how much you're going to compromise your deen. But these young brothers and sisters are the fresh, they're groomed in this community in the West. They're going to be the ones who are going to be pushed through legislation. You're going to be, at one point, it's going to be like, now it's already happening, that in mosque you only be able to bring in imams that are freshly groomed in the West only, that have gone through the system that only they have recommended for you to go through. So let's use our brains a bit just to review. Okay, number one, the story of Lut alayhi salam. He is a minority, maybe the only one, him and few of his family, who believe homosexuality is wrong in a predominantly liberal homosexual community. So it's not, it's an Islamic state. Ooh, no. There's nothing contradictory here between obeying Allah as a minority in a country and disagreeing and pushing against homosexuality. Okay, we're not preaching to go punch someone in the face on the street because he looks like homosexual, talks like homosexual, whatever. No, we're talking about an intellectual debate, discussion, propaganda from our side as well to teach our children. And for the sake of argument, the whole freedom of choice, okay, that's just bogus because our children are indoctrinated from a very young age because of stuff like this, man. And you are making it possible. And indeed, a lot of the imams and community leaders have failed to take this thing seriously when they had to 5-10 years ago. And now you have the byproduct of a lot of those kids who heard and said, well, Sheikh so-and-so was taking it. So now me with my talent of social media, I'm being pushed and, by propaganda and by popular culture. Now I'm taking it to the next level. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us victory in this. Last but not least, remember, legislation and laws are the outcome of a push between left and right, between this and that. We need to join hands with people who share our beliefs and do not compromise. The Prophet ﷺ had treaties with non-Muslims. I'm not saying that. But people who shared the values. May Allah guide us all. Assalamu alaikum.